What's up, Zach here, and today I've got my top 5 favorite shoes for outdoor basketball. And I really tried in this video to kind of cover all the different bases of outdoor basketball. Number 1, the rubber durability. Number 2, protection from those really unforgiving courts. And number 3, breathability on super hot days. So try to get a little bit of a mix in there this year. Let's get into it. Now, the number 5 shoe on this list really intrigued me because to me it felt like it was a tennis shoe just disguised as a basketball shoe. That's how rugged it was, but it also plays well on indoor courts too. And that would be the Adidas Dawn Issue 5. Now, the reason I love the Dawn Issue 5, especially for outdoor basketball, is that number 1, it's relatively inexpensive, right? Especially depending on the colorways you get. Number 2, it's got enough features in it that, yeah, if you're playing indoor basketball, they grip fine. They're a really nice playing shoe on indoor courts, but that tread pattern is rugged enough for outdoor courts, and just the shape of them, especially in the rear foot with how stable it is back here, it does a really nice job in terms of accepting an orthotic if you want to put it in for outdoor courts. So you're looking for a pretty widely available budget option on outdoor courts. You can throw an orthotic in there to really kind of bump up the protection aspect of them. This is a great pickup. And speaking of that protection, like in the 5s, you can put the orthotics in. The number 4 shoe I feel like is one of the most protective out there just on its own, even with no augmentation, and that is the New Balance Fresh Foam BB V2. And like I said in my review, if you're a dragger or slider, you know, this tread pattern is gonna wear down a little bit. However, if you're not dragging and sliding a ton, the rubber, number 1, the durometer is high enough, right, to resist wear on outdoor courts, especially painted slick outdoor courts. But the tread pattern also is good enough to grip those super slick painted outdoor courts. I'm sure if you've played outdoor basketball, you know you've gotten onto some courts, and they are 10 times more slippery than any of the dusty courts you might be playing on as well. So this tread pattern just induces a lot of confidence on those types of courts, but also will resist wear enough on the grittier, you know, just more blacktop outdoor courts as well. But the main reason I like these for outdoor basketball is the Fresh Foam X in them. These are one of the most protective shoes out there, and unlike some other shoes that are super protective, just don't have the rubber durability, just don't have enough other features in them to make them good for outdoor basketball, these have the protection in the midsole as well as the trappings all else around them that really help these hold their own on an outdoor court. The one complaint I would have about them is that there is a lot in the uppers in these that could potentially trap heat and moisture on a hot day. So I would make sure you're bringing an extra pair of socks or just thin light socks in these to keep your feet feeling, you know, fresh and cool on those hot summer days. But coming in at number 3 is a shoe that just finds itself on, I swear, every list I make. It's built so well for so many things. And until someone makes a shoe better, it's gonna keep coming up on this list. And that is, once again, the New Balance Coco CG1. And the reason I like these so much is they've got the side-to-side support of a maximalist tennis shoe, right? So they are really, really good in terms of that low to the ground feel, just that nice, just protective containing feel, but they also are kind of unencumbering and nimble enough that they feel like more of a minimalist tennis shoe, or more of almost like a really thin minimalist drop-in basketball shoe, but they don't have any of the instability concerns there. So it's almost like the faster version of the Fresh Foam BB V2, just maybe not as protective. But once again, you can throw an orthotic in these and still get, you know, really excellent protection from the ground. So, you know, like I said, this is billed as a tennis shoe. However, in terms of its prowess for tennis, outdoor pickleball, and outdoor basketball, honestly, I think it does all 3 things equally as well as equally elite. And speaking of the CG1 for outdoor basketball, I'm sure you've realized this shoe is a mid-top, and that's unlike a lot of other shoes recently have been coming out that the ankle collars are getting lower and lower, and that means it's harder and harder to fit orthotics in them. And that's what brings me to today's fine sponsor, which is Power Step, and specifically the Power Step Pulse, which I think is kind of the best solution these days for these super low ankle collared basketball, tennis, pickleball, and running shoes. Because number 1, they have the same broad arch support as any other Power Step orthotic, but that heel counter, that heel cup, gets so low in the shoe that it's not pushing your heel out of the shoes, but it's also not sacrificing any arch support. Because remember, you can get low profile orthotics out there, but a lot of times you're gonna be sacrificing the arch support for getting your heel lower into the shoe, whereas the Pulse has the same durability as any other Power Step, right? You know, you're gonna get a good 6 to 8 months of really premium performance out of these, unlike some other foam and gel insoles out there, or more minimalist insoles out there, or low profile insoles, which maybe will last you 1 to 3 months. these are going to give you the type of durability that a custom orthotic will give you, maybe even better, but also in that low profile package. So if you do want to check these out, I will leave them linked in the description below. And I do think, like I said, the Pulse specifically in the Power Step line, one of the better ones out there for the outdoor basketball enthusiast or anybody that's wanting to get that support in those lower heel countered shoes. So let's move on to number 2. And honestly, differentiating the top 1 and 2 shoes on this list, pretty tough. They're both pretty darn elite, but coming in at number 2 this year is the Anta Shockwave 5 as well as the Shockwave 5 Pro. Now, the reason I like the Shockwave 5 so much, number 1, double shank on top of that nitrogen infused foam just gives you so much protection from the ground, but also the tread pattern on this I feel like is probably the best out there for outdoor courts. Number 1, the hollowed out triangles give you suction cup grip, but also more of that rugged grip than getting into the forefoot with that wave pattern, plus those triangles, that boomerang pattern. Just on outdoor courts, no matter what court surface you use them on, they're just so good at gripping those courts, but they also are so darn durable too, so you really can just get crazy in these. Plus that tread rides up over the forefoot of the shoe, giving you a lot of dragging and sliding protection. Like I said, those double shanks just protect you from the ground really, really well. Plus the ankle collar, yeah, it swoops down really low in the mid, but it has enough padding around both sides of your Achilles tendon, what we call Kager's triangle. You can throw an orthotic in these and still get a decent lockdown. Yes, I do think the Shockwave 5 is a better outdoor shoe than the Kai 1. The Kai 1s to me, yeah, they can play outdoor basketball and do it okay. The rubber on them, a little softer, still has good durability, but in terms of the protection against the ground and the rubber durability, I feel like you get as much playability on the Shockwave 5 as you do on the Kai 1 on the outdoor courts. On indoor courts, yeah, I think the Kai 1 definitely takes the Shockwave 5 for sure, just because of the feel, the buttery smooth motion that these give you on foot, really all the other packaging that this shoe has in it. However, on outdoor asphalt, concrete, cement, these really unforgiving courts, I think the Shockwave 5 still has it. And before I get to the number 1 shoe, I do want to do the best drop-in midsole shoe for outdoor courts. And honestly, this really isn't even close. And that is the Way of Wade 8083 and the Way of Wade 8083 Ultra V2. Both of these shoes, number 1, have good breathability and outstanding protection against those outdoor courts with that boom drop-in midsole. Plus, the rubber durability on these, like most Way of Wade shoes, is just out of this world. So in terms of breathability, containment, ruggedness, protection on court, honestly, by a country mile, country kilometer, wherever you are in the world, the 808 line, specifically the Way of Wade 8083 Ultra V2, as well as just 8083, the regular edition, are just out of this world for outdoor basketball, and really no other drop-in midsole shoe yet that I've seen comes close to these in terms of their outdoor performance. But coming in number 1, people that watch this channel a lot probably know where I'm going with this, and that is the Way of Wade All City 12. To me, has the best mix of protection on foot, breathability, rubber durability, and grip on outdoor courts. Now, the All City 11s did have a little bit more forgiveness in the forefoot. However, in every other aspect, the 12s have really built upon the 11s and just made them so much better. Plus, in the rear foot, this shoe is so stable. So if you are getting into a lot of foot-to-foot combat on those courts, they're still gonna grip and still gonna stay very stable on courts. So you're not rolling over. And I understand what Way of Wade was doing with the 12s in terms of trying to make the forefoot a little bit more streamlined and not as clunky getting up and down the court. Hopefully in future lines, this does not get as narrow in the forefoot. They can kind of bulk this out a little bit like they did in the 11s. But in terms of playability, in terms of outdoor basketball, honestly, it's tough to get better than the 12s. But of course, love to hear your thoughts. What shoes have you been playing on outdoor courts? What shoes have you had success with in terms of durability and protection? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And speaking of the number 1 shoe on this list, with all this boom foam in the midsole, if you do want to see a deep dive into the differences between boom foam from Way of Wade and Zoom X foam from Nike, make sure you click into this video up above and subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam. I'll see you somewhere in the Sneakerverse.